God, I really went into the rabbit hole for this one. Alright, so you all know that Venti got rework a while back when the Hexerei faction was first introduced. However, not much in the way of TCing and combo optimization was really done with him, at least in comparison to the likes of Skirk and Mavwika. Prior to about several months ago, the recommended combo for Venti was something like 3 and 5. However, recently, there's been a small team of individuals fleshing out a full combo sheet for Venti, which contains a lot of new information. Frankly, I didn't participate much in the making of this combo sheet. However, I got permission from the 3 individuals that were actively testing and coming up with these combos. So, before I really get into it, I'd like to thank Bowtie, ML, and Kawi for their efforts in making this more detailed Venti combo chart, as well as giving me permission to use their resources for this video. Now, to really perform some of these combos to their highest degree of mastery, there are a few frame saves you should know regarding Venti's kit, a few of which were found all the way back in 1.0. Starting with the most important, I present to you Venti Short Hold E. The primary reason for doing this is to simply save animation time for when you're trying to perform any combo string. You can save about 10 frames per short hold E in this comparison, and considering you're using Venti's skill 3 times in every rotation, those time saves add up. Next, Venti is able to walk cancel out of N6 to immediately do N1. The way this works is exactly the same way walk cancels work for Ningguang. You can just hold down your move forward button and go from the N6 to N1 without much delay. This only matters for the N6 combos, but I find it extremely funny that walk canceling on Venti is not only possible, but it's also fairly simple to do. And then finally, we have the RR cancel. Mobile players, you might want to look away from this one. In concept, RR canceling is fairly simple. On keyboard and mouse, you just press the R button once to enter aim mode and another time to exit aim mode. On controller, you need to press into aim mode once since it's a hold option to keep aim mode on, unlike keyboard and mouse, which is a toggle. The purpose of doing it is to quickly interrupt your normal attack string faster than a dash would do, allowing you to fit in more normal attacks. Bowtie has a guide on how to do this as fast as possible on the controller, and there's a link to it in the description below. I've been mainly double tapping the R key on the keyboard to perform this cancel. I'm sure there are better ways to go about doing it faster, like remapping keys and whatnot, but I'm not really about that life. So, as for the full combo sheet, here it is. Now, while the peak is 12 N2 RR and 1 with 3 skills, I cannot reproduce this on keyboard and mouse, nor can any of the people who worked on a sheet with manual inputs. Controller input does have an advantage when it comes to RR cancels because you only have to input 1 button versus keyboard and mouse's 2. Plus, there's always an issue on keyboard and mouse where your second R input either gets delayed or removed in the input sequence, which nerfs your damage effectively. So, yeah. The best keyboard and mouse combo that's been found so far has been 3 skills with 11 and 2 RR. In terms of what most players should aim for, going for short hold E Q, N6 W, N2 short hold E, N5 dash, N5 short hold E is a pretty reasonable combo to do. If you do this combo string fast enough, you do have enough time to input a dash or 2 to get back into Bennett's circle radius. It's just harder to do this in comparison to no dashes with Nicole since her buff doesn't lock you into a circle, and on top of that, you can be interrupted during your N6 string because Venti has no stagger resistance or interruption resistance. So yeah, it's pretty hard without a shield, as you can imagine. Short hold E, Q, 5N2RR, short hold E, 5N2RR, short hold E is about equivalent to the aforementioned combo and is another thing you can do if you want more flexibility with Bennett's circle and or the enemy you're fighting doesn't allow you to fire off Venti's full N6 string. The best combo found that allows for enough time to do a dash is short hold E, Q, 5N2RR, short hold E, dash, 7N2RR, but it's already difficult to do this on controller and has not been reproducible on keyboard and mouse given the fact that, well, doing 11 and 2 RR is already hard. Of course, before even trying to do attempts for me, I actively practice doing these combos. Really Astro Wonderland dummies have been really useful for me to do combo practice, though I've gotten some weird camera issue at times. While you watch my behind the scenes practice, you might ask, why even do this practice? It's not like I'm a Venti main after all. And for me, I just think it's always interesting to try and pick up a new skill and perform it the best I can before, presenting it. I also abhor the idea of just quickly making a video without trying to properly optimize gameplay, and in cases where I do that, I immediately regret doing so. Fermenting. It isn't conducive to releasing videos at a regular pace though, and I could probably release more videos quicker if I ended up ignoring the process of practicing. But you know, even with all that in mind, my mindset now is that I'd rather not upload at all than put videos up with poor gameplay, hence the practice you see now. Though, I don't know how much I actually prevented poor gameplay, let's be real. In terms of combo performance, the best I can do is the 11 N2 RR combo. At any rate, for most Venti players, I would suggest aiming for either the N6 combo string if you have Nicole, or 3 N5 N3 in your runs. Hitting anything beyond that requires really fast RR cancels and assumes the enemy will be mostly static. There are also weapon calcs done, and it looks about what you'd expect. His new SIG is best in slot, with Thundering Pulse and Polar Star actually coming in right behind it. The gap isn't as big as you'd think, and the gap actually gets smaller the better you are at doing N2 RR cancels. As for free-to-play options, R5 Rust and Slingshot are his best options, with Rust outdoing Slingshot by a small margin. Artifacts-wise, I don't think it should be a surprise to anyone that Rising Winds is his best set for DPS. Echoes can be a viable secondary option, though note this set has inconsistencies at higher ping. And finally, you can always use combos of 2-piece attack and 2-piece anima. I think that's all the major guide stuff. Now, similar to Varka, Venti's teams are really coded towards 2 Animo, 2 Pyro. You either want C4 Jean or Faruzan for Animo Red Shred, Bennett or Nicole for an attack boost, and then a Hexerei character for the first slot if you don't already have one, for example like Durin. You could also use Prune for the Animo slot if you already have Durin in the team, since Durin fills the Red Shred role. One note though, using Nicole and Bennett without a source of off-field pyro won't work well for Venti in single target scenarios. I think this is a team most people are currently TCing with, but in practice, you need to wait for at least a second for Venti's black hole to absorb pyro. And if you fire normals immediately, it will remove the pyro aura too quickly for it to be absorbed. Failing to absorb an element results in a 50% damage bonus loss and some flat energy gain for the pyro units in the party. So losing this buff along with the extra damage from absorbing an element makes it not worth using both Nicole and Bennett. Well, at least if you don't want to sacrifice time doing combos. Anyways, outside of this archetype, there aren't many teams that perform at a similar level. I tried to think of something a while ago and made this team of Venti, Faruzan, Fischl, and Yunjin. To be frank, I was planning to make this video several months ago and got completely distracted. What else is new? The only reason I'm not showing that Abyss run in its entirety is because the gameplay is relatively lackluster and lacked a lot of the knowledge I now possess regarding Venti's combo and tech. So I'm just going in with a standard Venti team here for this current Abyss. I know, it's not the most out thing there I've used. Blame the fact that you need Pyro in this Abyss on the first half or Dendro in the second half, or you can't clear otherwise. In terms of the rotation I'm going for, Faruzan EQ, Durin EQE, Bennett EQ, Venti short hold EQ, and then whatever combo string you end up choosing, before ending it off with a short hold E, and then rotating back to Faruzan to restart the entire rotation. In terms of the combos I am going to try to do on Venti, it's going to be either 10N2RR or 5N2RR, 2N5. Those are the ones I'm going to try to do. Now, even though I'm complaining that I have to use a standard team, it's still good to show how Venti with Bennett works versus Venti with Nicole, because Venti with Nicole is significantly easier to play with, and the fact that you do not have to worry about being staggered or cancelled because Nicole's shield just tanks that much damage. And also the problems with the fact that Nicole's attack buff doesn't require you to stand in a circle like Bennett's does. No, enjoy the Abyss Clear. Apologies if the gameplay wasn't all that good. Frankly, this is the first time I've actively tried to do any sort of cancels with a bow type character. I've had a bit of a stigma towards bow characters in general due to me being unable to do them when I tried multiple years ago, but it seems like I can do them now, or at least in some capacity. Here are the builds I used. I know. I'm not using the new Hexerei set for Durin, which would give a 40% damage bonus. It's actually pretty good. I haven't got enough pieces yet for them to be usable. So yeah, blame Artifact RNG. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.